Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Prestior, and this is Langrisser Mobile Apex Season 17. Not much to report this week. I think I've already mentioned that Rosen Seal is now maxed out on inscriptions. The only character in this formation that is not maxed out with inscription is Grinshield, who I'm currently working with. Besides that, it's just been kind of gradually working with the other characters I don't use and just gradually getting them to at least level 6 on their inscriptions. That way, once everyone's set up, I don't actually need specific equipment inscriptions at that point. Anyway, as for our opponent here, I'm player 2, Windy Outpost, and I'm going up against someone that has pretty much just a rush box. Not an insane amount of AoE, there's some. But there's also, you got the TRS here for the extra single target damage. And yeah, a little bit of everything here. So for this, I went ahead and banned Isolde right off the bat. My opponent has no primary tanks. Technically, Bernhardt here can be a physical tank if necessary, but beyond that, there's not really any... Yeah, there are no tanks. So my opponent bans Rosen Seal and grabs Leon. Leon can definitely cover the entire map just about, thanks to his stupid little bikes and going across defensive terrain and all that nonsense. But that's actually good. And I know I'm going to get hit by Leon, but I'd rather get hit by Leon than Andriel, so I go ahead and ban Andriel at this point. Also, I get rid of Eshian, so they don't have an act again. Yeah, that's our only act again, so I went ahead and got rid of that. I was definitely torn. There was a lot of options that are scary here. We got Isolde here. We got Zerda, who's... This is, I think, the first time we've seen Zerda since the inscription update. There's a variety of teleport swaps and long legs and portals and... Yeah, lots of nonsense here. Essentially, the idea here is probably to use Leon to cover the distance and then maybe get set up with somebody else and then follow up with, you know, teleports. I'm figuring my opponent is going to probably ban my healers, but I went ahead and just went straight for Isolde this time. Isolde can do some healing, not a lot, and as predicted, my opponent gets rid of pretty much all my remaining healers except for Lycoris. Grab Sword and Light and Shadow. Get rid of Isolde, get rid of Wedem. Wedem's super dangerous, especially when you don't have any like easy access immunity. Lycoris has a little bit of immunity thanks to her inscription, but that is based off who I target, and it isn't super reliable with all the buff purging that this box has. That being said, go ahead and grab Lycoris. They go ahead and start banning my tank. They banned Hilda. I think my only guess about banning Hilda is either to prevent like the terrain that she can put out, or it's the fact that she can negate crits. That's the only reason I can think of why they would ban Hilda. I mean, she does. I guess she does provide faction buff for Lycoris, which that would make her cooldowns shorter. Of course, getting rid of the Awakened one makes sense because debuffing any of their mobility would actually hinder them quite a bit. They go ahead and grab Ada and Kelmo. So they have portals now. I go ahead and get rid of Zerda, get rid of Bernhardt. I don't want to deal with the AoE Bernhardt does. And he also, of course, does heal negation as an AoE. And then Zerda, of course, can bypass guard and has extremely high mobility at this point. I grab Eshian. I was like, wow, they let me have Eshian. So I was like, alright, sure, I'll have Eshian for an act again. They get rid of Icemelda, get rid of Namiya. And they go ahead and grab Tensei Jessica, who we haven't seen in a while. Tensei Jessica can also be kind of dangerous. She does have her own self-act again. She can teleport people, and she does have pretty good range. So she's dangerous all around. So at this point, I got rid of Awaken 1, got rid of TRS. Awaken 1 can self-res essentially, and she also can debuff my healing and just do all sorts of bad things. TRS, of course, will increase their damage output like crazy, as well as giving passive healing and mobility. So I'm completely fine with SP Elwyn. He's the least of my worries. And Kyura here can be kind of dangerous, but she's mostly magic, and my box can handle that mostly. Alright, I go ahead and grab Grinshield. I don't really need a sniper for this one. They're just going to rush me down before she can set up. So I went ahead and grabbed Grinshield for just some extra DPS. She can self-buffer herself as well. As predicted, they picked the tanks I figured they were going to pick. Get rid of Christiane, get rid of Lightbringer, and just leave me with Freya. Freya can't buff anyone besides herself and Grinshield, and Grinshield can buff herself, so it doesn't really matter that much. There you go, SBL1. So all strikers. No healers, no tanks. Just all offense. Alright, Ellen gets his buff at the beginning as usual. And then of course Zera gets set up, or Sword and Light Shadow gets set up. Alright. So Elwyn here, standard kit, yeah, Force of Will, all of his exclusives essentially, with unicorns, no surprises there. Sword and Light Shadow with Steelmane Werewolves. Did bring Edge Drop Slash, which is her AoE. It is kind of annoying because it can negate act again effects. It also reduces damage dealt, which is annoying. Light of Genesis, as predicted, brought Teleport. Everything else, she just went pure offense. Leon here did bring his 3C, so he can do some shuffling and do some extra damage. And then we have Audon Kelmo here, who brought, yeah, AoEs essentially. Alright, so yeah, as you can see here, Leon can get all the way to like here, and then, actually, he can kind of just go up to here, and then, let's see, how did we do it? Yeah, I think he would just move to here, and then Chivalry all the way up. It's very annoying. We got Isolde, all of her exclusives, Star Prismas, Grin Shield, Air Slash, and then her 3C and Cold Shield with War Falcons. Freya here, Redeemers with 3C, Crystal Spike, and Roselash. She does have her Inscription talent. She does have a Butterfly equipped. Oh, speaking of butterflies, Grin Shield also has a Butterfly equipped, but I believe you know that from previous week. Lycoris, I actually gave her Molten Sorcerers instead of Crystal Warlocks, because originally I was thinking about going 3C, Mass Heal, and then bringing like Fireball or something just to have another offense. But I decided to go just all in on heals, and went Mass Heal, Mass Resist, and Mass Protect. But I forgot to switch the troops back, so Molten Sorcerers it is. I don't think anyone's really messed with these too much, unfortunately. Eshian here, all of our exclusives, Star Prismas, nothing too surprising there. Alright, let's get started. So right off the bat, yeah, moves to there, Chivalries, and then his freaking bikes will allow him to go all the way to here. So covers the entire map. Good news is my opponents don't actually have fixed damage immunity. Still nearly killed me though. Yeah. So it's more fixed damage from the AoE itself, which unfortunately does kill my life here. Thankfully, the AoE part of 3C does not put out more terrain. So yeah, I'm a bit scattered. Thankfully, Freya is still guarding 2 of my units. I have to get rid of Leon right now, because if I don't, Sword and Light and Shadow is going to follow up. So I do Primordial Soul. Go ahead and grab Sustenance. I don't really need the damage. Alright. Yeah, unfortunately I did take some damage there because Leon got his little slash attack out. But killing him does trigger the 3C, so I do get another talent stack. Portals are now set up. So I was a little confused here. I wasn't exactly sure how this was going to work, because Element technically still can't reach. Sword and Light and Shadow still can't reach. But apparently there was a plan with Light of Genesis here, which I was not entirely expecting. So, with all that, for now, I went ahead and just got set up here, got Mass Heal, which will also get some terrain up. Gives her immunity as well. And then you can see here, it's going to be a teleport to here. It's adjacent, so it does trigger the act again, then it activates the portal. So that's the order of operation there. So with that, I was unfortunately exposed, and get Isolde killed here. And of course that's one of these little spirit things, so no matter what, I was going to get trouble here. I'm honestly kind of okay with this. Losing Isolde does suck, but I now still have my tank to soak a hit in the future. I'm easily able to kill Tensei Jessica here. I get a move again with this, so I'm able to move back move back into guard range. Langrisser is not in guard range, and I go ahead and put Decree up, which will also get me some stacks of effulgence, or not effulgence, whatever her stacks are called. So yeah, teleports to her spirit. So at this point, she could easily just kill Langrisser, but instead just opts to do this AoE. Not only did my opponent opt to do the AoE, but opted to do it next to Freya, which put her in... so Freya's fixed damage range, I believe, is 2. Yeah, 2 block range. If she had done it here, she still would have hit with her AoE, but then her passive AoE would only hit these 2 units. But since my opponent opted to do this, it ended up doing some fixed damage. Granted, the passive healing seems to have taken care of most of that issue. So the AoE, as mentioned before, reduces damage dealt and then prevents act again. This is actually annoying because that means Eshian can't really provide any act agains. But I do have this train here, which will help heal me and get rid of stacks. So I go ahead and just get up my faction buff finally. I haven't had really a chance to do that. I'm not at full HP and I'm using holy units, so I'm still pretty vulnerable with Freya. Also, Freya's troops are right now reduced HP because they self-res. So, Air Slash. So the good news is, alright, so one thing that was also important that I did with the faction buff was it buffed Grid Shield. If I had thrown my shield, there was a good chance I was not going to be able to get rid of the act again before it prevented me from acting again. So I had the faction buff to help me have enough stats to kill Sword and Light of Shadow. I probably could have still done it raw, but, you know, play it safe. Also, it gets her shield up, which will give her immunity to the debuffs while it's active. And, yeah. One thing to note is Sword and Light of Shadow did proc Clock, so she does have her AoE active again. And currently she is without a self-res. So opts to go ahead and just do this again, take some fixed damage. Yep, this time I'm at least immune to most of these effects. Butterfly's triggered, so it gave me some passive healing. I go ahead and do Mass Resist. So Eshian is kind of far back right now, which is preventing her from getting the benefits of the terrain because the terrain can't be applied over Poison Fog. But I still was able to at least purge some of the debuffs. Unfortunately, she still can't do Act Again. Alright, so now the other magic DPS. This is why I did Mass Resist instead. I was thinking about doing Mass Protect for the immunity to healing, the healing debuff. But as long as I target Freya, I give her immunity to all debuffs regardless, so it's not that huge of an issue. And then, of course, you know, Magic Offense reduces the damage that Adan Kelma could do. Adan Kelma does have her Inscription talent, so she does get buffed whenever she goes through her portal. So she's essentially buffing herself before she attacks. I did get silenced, which sucks. Everything else here is not too bad. Yeah, I can't use passives, so that's not a big deal. Alright. So at this point, all that's remaining is Elwyn. So I go ahead and go with Roselash. This is mainly just to weaken Adan Kelma a little bit, because I wasn't sure if I was maybe able to get killed reliably with just 33 HP. Granted, this is just me being overly cautious. I mean, with the defense and her stats, she can easily get kill. And she, of course, can stun, because she currently has 2 stacks of Radiance. So, really, it wasn't necessary. But also, the other reason I did it was just for the passive healing to get back to 100%, so I can trigger the damage reduction. Alright. Show me what you got, Elwyn. Okay, purges everything. It doesn't purge, yeah, so here comes all that fixed damage that we so love here. Alright, pretty good damage. I do 20 back. Alright, Illumination triggers. So 3C is his Eternal Glow is active again, so he can just use it again. I did have my defense buff still active, which is good. My immunity to all debuffs wasn't purged, which is great. My damage taken wasn't removed, and I still have my guard. So it pretty much left me with all the good stuff. So fantastic. Elwyn's nearly dead and next to ally, so he can't self-res. So I go ahead and just use regular attack since I'm silenced. He does have Blood Shield, so he reduces damage by like 30% or something like that. Doesn't matter. And then I go ahead and finish off this. Now, one thing to note is I have the debuff makes it so I can't act again, but it doesn't prevent move again. So getting a kill here with my 3C does still allow me to move my 5 steps away, so I can go there. Now, it's one thing to note is when I move back to here, I didn't even think about looking at Freya's buffs to see if she still had a guard buff. So I could have put myself in a very dangerous situation. I don't think it would have been too bad because even with the spirits, every time Sword and Light and Shadow self-reses or gets her, every time she self-reses, it gets weaker to the point until she can only get back like 1% of her health. So I go ahead and just use this opportunity to give Act Again, and then use healing here just to kind of top everyone off. Alright. Oh yeah, she also had another clock proc with the Edge Drop Slash again. To be honest, if she had done Decisive Blade instead, I think that would have been better. If she had done that earlier, she would have gotten kills, which of course would mean less actions on my side. Alright. Alright. So the Butterfly did proc there. I don't have a self-res anyway, but the debuff still gets applied. So it actually gave her a little bit extra healing and made it so she could just survive the hit. And then I kill her with the fixed damage. Self-reses with, yeah, that much left now. And then she, of course, ended her turn on a spirit, so she is going to get her spirit back. She doesn't have her immunity debuffs active anymore, so I go ahead and stun her. She has 1% health left. Actually, it goes up to 10%, but yeah, as you can see, and then I just kill with the fixed damage from Molten Sorcerers, and there you go. Yeah, really fun match. I'm glad it worked out. I'm always really cautious about rush boxes because I'm always in that situation where if I pick a healer early, they're going to ban Isolde and Selvaria, and then things kind of get worse for me. For this box, though, picking a healer early would not have been the end of the world because I don't even have a primary tank to worry about. That being said, it still worked out. My opponent didn't really have enough follow-up to keep pressure going. Essentially, I was getting attacked by like 1 or 2 units at a time, and so I was able to kind of just deal with them individually until they didn't have any troops left. So it wasn't that big of a deal. I think the clock procs were actually something that saved me on my end, because every time the clock proc happened with Sword and Light and Shadow, my opponent opted to do AoEs instead of single targets. Her single target earlier probably would have gotten kill on Freya, but I'm not entirely certain. I mean, in the end, the biggest disadvantage is the fact they just didn't have fixed damage immunity. So, and Freya, as you can see, does tons of fixed damage if you allow her to. So definitely went in my favor there. And yeah, as always, Langrisser is kind of a surprisingly decent healer if you allow her to be. All that extra terrain and just passive healing adds up and gets rid of those nasty debuffs that tend to stack up. The butterflies are, of course, always useful. I didn't really need them too much, but every time they proc, they gave me back HP. So definitely no complaints there. And yeah, really fun match. Didn't have any losses this week. It was just 1 battle, 1 win, which was really nice. So I'm at 1636, and that's kind of the gist of it. So I'm going to go ahead and call it here. I'm The Depressed Hero. This is Langrisser Mobile Apex Season 17. I'll see you guys later.